Hi, I'm Daniel Foley, and in this video I want to talk to you about the difference between making progress and just maintaining, or even going backwards. So I want to use a couple of examples first to kind of get us started, and then we'll kind of go from there and start to break it down a little bit, make it a little bit more applicable to our lives. So have you ever planted a garden and you plant your seeds and then they start to grow, and all of a sudden you've got weeds and pests in your garden, things like that? Did you have to do anything for those weeds to grow or for those pests to come about? No, you didn't. Or what about your money? Let's say you took your money and you just, hid it in your closet, buried it in the backyard, hid it in your mattress or whatever. 20 years later, that same money is not going to be worth the same amount of money that it was worth 20 years ago. Okay, why is that? Because inflation eats away at it. Okay, another example is with your physical body, with your actual health. If you don't do anything to tend to it, to take care of it, to cultivate your health, your body just gradually decays. And the more you just neglect it and leave it alone, the more it decays. So we've been using the example, some of my guys in the gym and we've been using the example of a treadmill. Okay, so if you're running on a treadmill, there's a certain pace or a certain amount of work that you have to do just to keep up, to stay on the treadmill. And if you don't keep up with that pace, what happens? It shoots you off the back. Okay? So you're going to have to run fast enough just to stay on the treadmill. Okay? If you wanted to actually make progress and get ahead, you'd have to run faster than the treadmill is going. And so that's what the concept that I want to talk to you about today is, this concept of decay. So if you look in the Bible, it tells us that the earth and our bodies are subject to decay, that they are constantly decaying. Okay? So there's a certain amount of action. I don't care what area of your life it is. It could be in your spiritual life, it could be in your health, it could be in your finances, your family life. There's a certain amount of action that's required just to even maintain your results. Okay, there's action that is required in maintaining results. So you think about someone that says they work in maintenance. Okay, so they work in a maintenance department. Well, it takes work just to maintain, because things happen, things decay, things break. Financially, unexpected costs come up that eat away at your savings or your finances. So it's the same way with your health and any other area of your life. So your body is constantly breaking down and decaying unless you are doing something to offset that. So there's a certain amount of activity that's needed just to offset it. So we could use the example of finances again. So let's say the rate of inflation, let's say, is 5%. Okay, 5% every year. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but 5% every year, inflation is going up. So every year that you don't do anything with your money, you are losing 5% of your money. It's decaying. It's becoming less valuable. Okay? On the flip side, so if you want to invest just to offset the inflation, you have to make 5% just to offset the inflation that's going on. Okay? If you want to actually make money and make progress and get ahead, is the difference between maintenance and progress. You're going to have to actually make more than 5% on your money to actually make some progress. And so that's an important concept to consider. I want you to think about that with your health, with any other area of your life really, is, like I said, go back to the concept of the garden. Do you have to do anything to make the weeds grow and the bugs show up? No, you don't have to do anything. They're going to show up. But it takes work to keep that garden cultivated, to keep it growing and going and so forth. So we use the gardening example. So how do you grow a good garden? So it's a three-part process. How do you have a productive, fruitful garden that's giving you produce that you can eat and make progress and hopefully have some to even store away for later? Is three-part process. Number one, you got to plant your seed. So you got to sow. You got to plant your garden. Okay, so that takes some effort to get out there and start sowing. So that could be new habits or routines or things like that that you're putting into your life. It could be with your health and fitness. It could be that you are going to start drinking more water, eating better, start exercising, whatever it may be. You're going to have to start planting those seeds. Okay, and then the next step is once you've got the seeds planted, you've got to water them, you've got to pull the weeds, you've got to make sure that you're getting rid of the pests, and you're cultivating that garden to increase the yield that you're going to get from the garden. Okay, so that's the next concept, is this cultivation. So it's a two-part process though. It's good and bad, because as you cultivate it, you're going to start to get some produce, you're going to start to get some fruits or vegetables, whatever it may be, but at the same time, it's a lot of work in cultivating it, pulling those weeds, getting rid of the bugs, watering it regularly. All those types of things are important, and you're going to have to do those. So you're going to have to protect the garden, you're going to have to cultivate it at the same time. And so it's going to take a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to do that. But I want you to think about, though, if you didn't do any work on your garden, those weeds and the bugs and all those things are going to come, and the longer you let it go, the more work it's going to take just to get it back to where it's maintaining and producing fruit again. Okay? So the same thing goes with your health. If you're over here And the longer you wait to get started, so people say, oh, I'm going to wait till next week, or I'm going to wait till next week. I'm going to wait till, after the new year. I'm going to wait till after this date, whatever it may be. I'm going on vacation. The longer you wait, the longer that treadmill is throwing you backwards, the more work it's going to take just to get back to where you are maintaining. Okay, so sometimes you just got to get back to zero. So you got this here. This is actually what's on our logo in the gym. It takes some work. This is like the maintenance zone. You're in this cycle where you're maintaining, but it takes some work just to maintain. If you're not on this side and you're not doing anything to even maintain it, you're getting kicked backwards all the time. And the longer you wait to get started, the further it kicks you back. It could be finances. The longer you spend the wrong way and going into debt the wrong way, let's say, the longer it takes to get back to just zero. Okay? And then to even start making money on the other side. So it's going to take effort to just even maintain. But you need to realize that this process is going on in every area of your life. Spiritually, financially, physically, in your time management, all these areas of your life, it's going on. You need to realize that, because the longer you wait to get started with something, the longer you're actually going backwards. You're going in the wrong way. Most people think, well, I'm just staying where I am. But if you're doing nothing, the weeds are growing and the bugs are coming in, and you're going backwards. And so you're going to have to take action just to get back to zero a lot of times, okay? Not only are you going to have to get back to zero, but it's going to take even a little bit more effort to kick out on the other side, okay? So it's going to take some effort to kick back on the other side. But when you finally do, now we get into harvest time. That's the third point. So you got your springtime, so to speak, of where you're sowing your seed. You got the summertime where you're cultivating and the heat's on it a little bit. And it takes some pressure and some time to really cultivate that garden. But then eventually you get your harvest time. Okay, so most farmers know, hey, I'm not going to plant my seeds today and I'm going to reap a crop tomorrow. So there's a process that you got to go through in the middle there. And that's where this process is in the middle. But when you go through that process, you keep pushing at it, you keep chipping away at it, all of a sudden you can come out on the other side better for it. But that's a little bit on this idea of making progress versus maintaining. The big concept I want you to understand is that it's like you're on a treadmill, every area of your life. If you're not constantly moving forward at least a little bit, you're actually going backwards. Okay, so people will say, hey, over the last 2 years I've maintained my results, let's say in body composition. Well, that's actually pretty good, because if you were 50 and at 60 you can do everything you could do at 50, okay? Or you've aged 10 years but you're still just as good as you were 10 years ago. Well, that means you put in quite a bit of work because you didn't actually go backwards, okay? So that's an important concept to understand, and making sure that we're not going backwards.